In the heart of an ancient shadowy forest, there stood a tree unlike any other. Towering above the rest, it seemed to breathe with a life of its own. The moonlight barely penetrated the thick canopy, casting eerie shadows that danced and flickered like silent specters. The tree, once a guardian of the forest, had turned dark and twisted, its branches gnarled and blackened, its roots sprawling beneath the earth like the claws of a buried beast. One cold, misty night, a lone traveler stumbled upon the forest, and as he wandered deeper into the woods, he became drawn to a faint glow in the distance. Curiosity pulled him closer. A strange energy pulsed in the air, and there, standing in a small clearing, was the glowing tree. Its bark shimmered with a sickly, unnatural light, and its leaves seemed to hum with a whispered song as though it was alive with a dark magic. The traveler, captivated by its haunting beauty, stepped closer, unaware of the danger lurking within. As he reached out to touch the bark, a sudden gust of wind swept through the forest, rattling the branches and sending a shiver down his spine. The tree seemed to groan, its branches curling inward like a serpent preparing to strike. Before the traveler could react, the roots beneath his feet surged upwards, wrapping around his legs like iron chains. Panic surged through him as he struggled, but the roots tightened, dragging him closer to the tree's twisted trunk. He screamed, but his voice was swallowed by the oppressive silence of the forest. The tree's glow intensified, and a cold, malevolent presence filled the air. As the roots coiled around his body, the traveler began to hear whispers, not the gentle murmur of leaves, but the anguished cries of those who had come before him. The tree was no longer a protector of the forest, it had become something far more sinister. Long ago it had watched helplessly as humans tore down its companions, felling trees and ripping apart the land. Its anger festered, turning into a thirst for vengeance. Now it exacted its wrath on anyone who dared venture too close. The traveler gasped as the tree's branches bent low, their tips sharp like talons. He felt the life being squeezed from him, the air growing colder by the second. But then, as the darkness began to close in, the tree hesitated. A single tear fell from the traveler's eye and landed on the bark. The tree seemed to quiver, as if, for a brief moment, it remembered the kindness it once stood for. But the moment passed, and the traveler's vision blurred. The last thing he saw was the forest floor littered with bones, remnants of those who had fallen victim to the tree's vengeance. With a final, tightening squeeze, the roots pulled him into the earth, and the forest was silent once more, save for the faint hum of the glowing tree. The next morning the sun filtered through the trees, casting dappled light over the forest floor, but no one would ever find the traveler's remains. Only the tree stood, still glowing softly, waiting for the next curious soul to wander too close.